Lo que hagas, que lo hagas bien. Not earth-shatteringly profound, but with this elegant Spanish construction, Jorge Marcote neatly sums up the successful startup's imperative. Whatever you do, do it well. At this early stage, it neatly sums up the denouement of a dream called Pentecostés. I wanted to show you this story for a couple of reasons. One, because this is the source of enduring fascination in the wine world. Projects begun with vision and conviction bordering on folly, followed by years of toil, tweaks, setbacks and insights. 7 years in, Pentecostés is a babe in arms, and its small scale belies huge ambition. And two, I think this puts you in the picture of a wine-growing area, its conditions and its culture, whose appeal far outstrips its fame. We're in Rosal, one of the 5 subregions of Rías Baixas in Galicia. To refresh your memory, you have Ribera do Ulla, the youngest, northernmost section, far inland. Then Val do Salnés, number 1 in production, renown and Atlantic influence. Sotomayor, the smallest, comes next as you head south. Then the warmest, Condado do Tea, named after the river Tea. Finally, O Rosal, extending to the coast on the Portuguese border. As their scattered nature suggests, there are marked differences between the subregions. Val do Salnés, which you're looking at here, is home to most of the wine estates, but the vast majority of grape growing is in the hands of small-scale farmers. Across the whole of Rías Baixas, there are just over 4,300 hectares under vine, with 6,500 growers and just 180 registered wineries. That makes the average vineyard holding just 2/3 of a hectare, with 36 times as many growers as there are commercial producers. Which is to say, it's minutely fragmented. Establishing an estate is no mean feat. In fact, there's nothing like it in Rosal, but that didn't deter Alberto Cábaco Mariño. Cábaco made his fortune in Galicia's fishing industry before returning to his birthplace of Gondomar, where his grandfather once had a wine warehouse. In 2017, he got the ball rolling on Pentecostés. That meant purchasing Pazo Barreiro in the Velhaza district of Gondomar. That's what we're looking at here, from over the valley. Across the 3.5-hectare terraced vineyard, there's a steep slope and 5 different orientations, subtly shifting from northeast on the right to southeast. Remember, vineyards that face the equator get the most sun, so here in the northern hemisphere, facing south gives the sunniest exposure. Rías Baixas is a cooler Spanish region, thanks to its northerly latitude and influence from the Atlantic Ocean, but Rosal is in southern Galicia, and summers here are warm. Jorge doesn't worry about his grapes failing to ripen. On the contrary, it's the thought of them ripening too fast that concerns him. So this cool aspect of the vineyard is perfect. As an experienced viticulturist and former sommelier, one who has spent time among the vines of Salnés, Rosal and Condado do Tea, as well as other Galician wine-growing areas including Ribeiro and the Ribera Sacra, Jorge has a clear idea of what he looks for in great wine and how this land and these grapes can help him achieve it. If he could design the perfect terroir from scratch, Pazo Barreiro is pretty much what it would look like, and in fact, that's kind of what he and Cábaco have done. The variation in aspect and altitude gives Jorge plenty to play with as he looks to compose complex, exciting, harmonious wines from this small area. Back when Cábaco set his dream in motion, the 4 faces to the left were in the hands of 4 siblings. The long northeast-facing slope to the far right was in the hands of 15 different families. That slope, deceptively steep and long, is responsible for one of the 2 wines in the Pentecostés range, its single varietal Albarino. Facing the northeast, it gets the early morning sun, a particularly cool exposure that means it's the slowest part of the site to ripen and the last part of the site to be harvested. The long ripening time gives good depth of flavour, and while Albarino's trademark acidity is still there in spades in the ripe fruit, the grape's extended time hanging on the vine gives a particularly soothing acid profile at moderate alcohol levels of around 12.5%. The site features typical soils of granitic sand over granite bedrock, a defining feature of Rías Baixas. Granite has a knack for delivering wines with succulent purity, think Cru Beaujolais or Condrieu, and the free-draining nature of these soils is an ideal fit for a rainy climate. In fact, the lack of clay here means that even relatively brief rain-free periods can induce water stress, and irrigation may be needed. The cover crops here, vetch, cereals, 4 types of clover, promote biodiversity, increase competition for water, reinforce soil structure, and conserve soil moisture. The abundant granite round here is used to build the terraces. You'll note, though, that Pentecostés does not train its vines on the traditional granite-posted barra gallega, the overhead training system that keeps vines away from the humid ground. Rainfall, which averages 1,700mm a year in Rías Baixas as a whole and more like 2,000mm in Val do Salnés, is considerably less in Rosal, especially here where we're protected from the northern weather by Monte Castelo. Jorge prefers vertical shoot positioning or VSP, which makes it easier to adjust the canopy to keep the vines healthy and attend to their photosynthetic needs. The cuttings he selected for these vineyards were favoured for their propensity to give relatively low yields of small bunches of small berries. In this rainy climate with warm summers, juiciness and freshness aromas are a given with high-acid Albarino leading the way. Jorge is looking for intensity, structure, and complexity to balance those elements and to make the wine compelling no matter how often you drink it. The second wine at Pentecostés is another white called Varietales. It's an Albarino-based blend taking in 4 other northwestern Iberian varieties. Although Rías Baixas has become synonymous with Albarino, like many places where high rainfall makes for a less than smooth ride to a bountiful, ripe, healthy harvest, think Champagne, Bordeaux, or Portugal's Vinho Verde, blending is a good way to hedge your bets. Multi-varietal aromatic whites, therefore, have a place in Galicia. The 3.5 hectares of Pazo Barreiro are planted to roughly 75% Albarino, 10% Caño Blanco, 6% Loureira, 5% Treixadura, and a little bit of Godello. It's worth having a quick look at those separately. Albarino makes up 95% of the Rías Baixas vineyard. It is aromatic and high in acidity with fruit notes that span a wide spectrum from apple through all colours of citrus to peach, a common descriptor in warmer, southerly Rosal, and even tropical notes. Next, Caño Blanco. Jorge is a big fan and sees it doing great things in Rosal thanks to its late ripening, high acid profile and pure citrus drive. In fact, this is a different vineyard about a kilometre from Pazo Barreiro, planted 2 years ago to a half hectare of Caño Blanco. Pentecostés is looking forward to bottling a Crianza-style single vineyard wine from here in the future. Then we have Loureira, which Jorge likes for its aromatic input, the herbal and balsamic notes it contributes, but finds it throws a lot of leaves and requires effort to help it ripen, and even then it tends to lack structure. Then Treixadura, which has low acidity, so it's planted in a cool spot here to slow down ripening and retain the delicate aromas. And Godello. These vines were planted in 2019. It has thin skins and is disease prone, but is highly prized for its body, mineral streak, and succulent citrus and stone fruit flesh. So this is Pazo Barreiro. Pazo is Galician for palace or country house. To his chagrin, Cábaco has been unable to secure planning permission to renovate the old building here, which is where another site enters the equation. It's a couple of kilometres away as the crow flies, also in Gondomar, in a district called Manhufe. The second property, acquired in 2017, is called Pazo de Moldes. This is home to the small winery, and where an additional 5 hectares of vines are being developed. Some of these were planted less than a week before my visit. The plantings and varietal ratios mirror those at the original Pazo Barreiro site. Though it looks relatively flat here, it is in fact a sloping amphitheatre where the sunshine is, again, limited by aspect. From here, the ocean is about 3 kilometres west in that direction. And the other vineyard in Vilaza is only a couple of kilometres over there. This is the winery at Pazo de Moldes in Manhufe. You can see how small it is. The wines mostly ferment in temperature-controlled stainless steel. There's some seasoned oak here too, which is used to build extra texture, complexity and weight in the wines. When you include a few tiny half-hectare sites tucked between Pazo Barreiro and Pazo de Moldes, Pentecostés is a 10-hectare estate in the making. The increased production of the 5 grape Varietales bottling promises to set a benchmark for Rosal aromatic blends, and Jorge and Alberto's straight Albarino will likely redefine this subregion's portrayal of Spain's most loved white variety. As for future single-site wines, I, for one, can't wait. Lo que hagas, que lo hagas bien. Jorge Marcote is practicing what he preaches, and this Pentecostal mission looks well set to convert the masses.